Well, if you're listening, you're one of the few, the crazy, and our true fans that are listening to our first podcast that has come to fruition. Name is still up in the air. We're going with More Than Mortgage to start, so we'll see how that goes. It's about learning, people. It's about learning. But for those of you who may only know me and don't know Nate, we have Nate Thane. He can introduce himself, and then I'll go and just say I'm Kadyn and any of those who don't know me out here in Arizona. But Nate, please introduce yourself. I'm excited for us to start doing this.
My name is Nate Thane. I am a loan officer. I have been for about 10 years, and I'm in Pensacola, Florida. And I have somehow built this weird social media following on TikTok and Instagram and even Facebook where I talk about mortgages. And somehow, after doing that for 4 years, I'm here. And we met over the internet.
You caught my attention.
Yeah, I mean, in the most 2020 way possible, we met over the internet, and now we talk basically every day.
Pretty much, whether it's GIFs, TikTok videos. Look at this silliness that's going on my Facebook page. Everyone needs to go follow Nate on his Facebook page. But yeah, I guess I didn't really introduce myself fully. I'm a loan officer as well out here in Arizona. Yeah, we met a year and a half ago or so, all through social media. We have yet to meet in person. This is what makes this fun, people.
Dude, do you remember when online dating just started and there was this weird, like people were freaked out by the idea, like, oh, you met that person on the internet? Whereas now, like, I basically meet everybody that I know on the internet at this point. It's so weird how that's changed in the last, 10 years or so.
Well, it's weird because I grew up in it. So, for how Kelsey and I first started talking was Snapchat. So, I had a roommate that was like, you should talk, or you two should meet or whatever. And I've maybe passed each other on the bridge in college, but then started messaging on Snapchat. Not the most romantic love story ever, just sliding into Snapchat DMs. But it was still weird hearing you met on the dating. Social media is a little different, but the dating apps was a little different than going, oh, we got married through the dating app. But it's it's kind of my life anyway. It's
kind of what you do now, right?
Yeah. But
wait, how old are you?
28.
All right. I'm 30.
There's just enough gap. There's just enough of a gap.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird how that little 6-7 year gap makes such a big difference on stuff like this.
It's a huge difference. I think it's like a 4 year.
Yeah.
Whatever that high school. It's the high school. It's like little phases every 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But oh my God, yes, so different. We're just two millennials at completely different phases of that millennial era. But yeah, so we met. I mean, I started doing something similar to what you did at a lower level. I was telling you the other day that I was making those videos and I saw yours, liked it, reached out, and I was like, love your videos, man. And I told you, I just thought you were someone else trying to do the same thing I was doing. Little did I know you've been doing it since 2018 and we're killing it on TikTok.
Because we met on Instagram, right?
Yeah. I can't remember if it was a Dumb and Dumber video that you did or whatnot, but yeah, I just sent a message and then we just started talking. And then I don't even know, honestly, the gap between the first message and then maybe we kind of went back and forth. And then I remember I had a moment where I had a video kind of gain some steam. And then I came to you for advice of I don't know how to handle all these negative comments, what to do, respond, all of that. And then I feel like we started talking more after that.
Yeah.
From what I remember.
Well, and not to get too in our feelings, but you remind me of a younger version of me. I was the young guy in mortgages for basically up until the last couple of years. And even here locally, I'm in my market, I'm still one of the youngest loan officers. I think the average age of a loan officer is over 50 years old nationwide. So in the grand scheme of things, I'm still pretty young.
Yeah.
But I got into this business when I was 25, 24, something like that.
Okay.
So you being, I don't know, 26-ish, whenever we met, you reminded me of me. I wasn't marketing on social media back then, but you were very much a new loan officer kind of trying to find his way. And I respect that. And I know how that can kind of be a lonely feeling. It's no different than any kind of entrepreneur that is just now starting their business. So everybody needs help from people who have been there before. having some kind of support system, mentor, something like that, doesn't matter what kind of business you're in, is huge. Someone who has gone through what you've gone through and knows how to navigate it, so that you can. Because I failed for 6-7 years. Like,
Yeah.
hopefully you get to learn from that. And I learned from someone like Rebecca Richardson, who is one of my branch partners. She's been doing this for 20 years, so I learn from her every day. And basically, for the most part, we learn what not to do and what kind of works for us.
Yeah, it's like, and that's what I've learned as my computer shakes there. It's like this little ladder. I'm sure I think I've said it to you, but I've heard it multiple times. You only have to be 1 or 2 steps ahead of someone to teach them something. And it's like literally just in us. And then you mentioning Rebecca, like that's literally the tier system of like continuing to learn, because there's always going to be someone that joins the bottom, someone's at the top, and it's just going to keep cycling up. But it's been super helpful. Even before this, we were still talking about content, how to handle it, and it was a rough day. It was a rough day for me mentally this morning. So it's helpful to throw because there's not many people you have to find the people you can go, I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. I need you to like hear me, because I know you've been through it. How did you learn from it? And that's, again, I'm not trying to set up therapy sessions with you, I swear.
Well, and it's more about, the whole part of like mentorship, or just learning from other people that are in your circle doing and playing the same game that you're playing. It's that they have been through a lot of what you have been through, or some kind of variation of that. And for me, that's always held like a lot of weight. If I'm going to someone for some advice, if they've never been through anything that I'm kind of describing or something closely related to it, I have a really hard time taking that advice, because it's like, dude, like I can explain the situation, but you don't really know because you've not been through it. So, if you talk to someone who's been in this industry or any kind of industry a lot longer than you have, there's a really good chance that they have been through what you are currently going through. And that goes for everybody.
100%. And then just being able to, everything we talk about is like, go try and do things, because that's the only way you're going to like hit these levels of needing help and all of that. Like if you're not actually trying, it's tough to take advice, because then if you don't put it anywhere, now I'm literally talking to myself. But
but what I like about what we do, and what a lot of people can learn from as well, is that we go outside of the norm for our industry. Like it's becoming more the norm now, but when we first started this, people were like, why are you wasting your time doing videos?
And you started 2 years ahead of me, and I felt like, whether someone said that to me or not, maybe it was 1 or 2 people still thought that 2 years ago. And and now you see everyone doing it in this market we're currently working in. And you and I have had conversations about that, but like now it's not crazy. It's 100% what you have to do.
It's one of the blessings and the curses of being, for lack of a better term, like some kind of pioneer like that. I have literally had people that I know have bashed me behind my back about making content. I've had them reach out for content advice. I'm like, well, look how the tables turn.
How the turntables
turn. So, the whole thing with marketing and the approach that I've always taken is, I'm not going to do what everybody else is doing. I'm going to try to do something different, because that's the only way to stand out in this world, because there's so many people, there's so much competition in almost everything. So there's, hundreds of thousands of loan officers out there. How can I be different than everybody else?
Yeah. And I've even had that thought within the first year or whatever. It was like, I'd rather fail trying something different than what everyone else was doing, because I feel like you'll just fall into the noise or the crowd. But there's other people doing what we do. Yep. But we're still the severe minority when it comes to our industry and just general in real estate. Yep.
Well, and from my standpoint, and probably from your standpoint too, when you think about it, it is like the cheapest marketing you can have. It costs you your time. Yeah. But name another way that I can get in front of thousands of people for 30 minutes of work.
Yeah. For free. For
free. You get to get your name out and establish yourself as the authority figure of whatever sector you're in.
And what's crazy is there's there's a lot of people who will pay for leads through real estate companies and stuff like that. And I started to have the thought of, heck, Kelsey runs her business and she's doing ads. And I'm like, at a certain point, if it works, it works. But then if it's not, then take the same amount of money and put it towards video editor or put it towards something. If you were like, okay, go to social and then literally paid to invest in yourself and your time, you'll probably see greater return just in quality of people you'll be working with, people that already know you. We've talked about that again. I feel like I keep saying that. We've talked about so much, but everything's about trying to work with people who already get you and there's already trust there. So I'm like, it's the way to go. It's
less about, you don't have to sell as much when you market yourself this way, because there is an inherent trust when these folks call you. I've had part of being in the mortgage industry is you're going to have problems come up. You're going to have transactions that just go really poorly. I've had some transactions in the last couple of years that they are with clients that they found me on TikTok or they found me on Instagram, and they've gone really poorly. And like so poorly that I've called to apologize to the clients. Like, hey man, I'm really sorry that this one went this way. This is not how it's supposed to be. Some weird stuff happened. Some of this stuff is out of my control. And you would not believe how patient and understanding those folks are. Because like, no, Nate, like I trust you. I knew that you were trying your hardest. I knew you had my back. And that's really, at the end of the day, like that's what people want. They want to know that they're being taken care of and they are not getting screwed over. So they weathered this storm with me. And those are some of the best reviews I've ever had. They are the worst transactions as far as like how smoothly they went. And they are still some of the best reviews I've ever gotten. And it's because of that inherent trust and that rapport I've established with them via the internet.
No, I mean, we could go on and on about this. We've both held classes and talked on this stuff, but to go along with the name of the podcast of this isn't all we're going to talk about and social media and everything. Something I just noticed is coming off a Saturday win in the Swamp. We're both wearing Kentucky blue. Somehow,
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
So I was telling you, because you were kind of making fun of me for being jacked up, like so pumped up about.
I wasn't making fun of you. I get it.
Yeah, okay.
I got smacked down by Georgia. I'd love to be out on cloud nine with you.
I mean, so like I've seen us beat Florida 3 times my entire life. So like that's a huge deal to me, especially to go and do it in the Swamp. But and I live in enemy territory. So I'm originally from just south of Lexington, Kentucky, which is where UK's campus is. I went to UK, graduated from UK. I'm like 3rd or 4th generation Kentucky grad. It runs pretty deep. Grew up going to Kentucky games, grandmother had season tickets. And then living in Florida, obviously there's a lot of Florida fans here. Yeah. And so this is one of the few times that I've gotten to talk a little smack during football season instead of just like waiting until December, January, March, February and talking smack about basketball. So like I had to take it. You got to take advantage of stuff like that. You got to jump on it.
100%. I mean, I fully am invested in Kentucky football now just because of you. Like I was kept checking the scores. I'm like, oh my God, they're really holding this 10-point lead. This doesn't make sense. You're like just waiting for them to score and you're like, okay, they're going to do it. I mean, I think it's on a different scale with Oregon, who has had some success. I still feel that way every time because we could lose. I mean, we clearly can, but like, I don't trust anything until that final whistle blows.
Well, it's not like Oregon is like a traditional powerhouse. Like in your lifetime, they've been pretty good. I mean, they've gotten to a couple national championship games or playoffs or whatever, right? Like, they've been pretty solid, but in the grand scheme of things, like I wouldn't think of Oregon prior to 2010 as like a powerhouse.
No, I remember distinctly. There was a couple times. I think it was like my buddy. He's gonna be pissed if I can't remember the year. 08, 07, 08 is when Dennis Dixon was a quarterback, and I remember them going into the Big House. And winning against Michigan, who was probably number 5 at the time, on a fake Statue of Liberty play. Like us winning that was cloud 9. Who cares what happens the rest of the season? Yeah. That was the turning point. And I don't know, I would have been 12, 13. So I've seen this I've seen that. Like, I see it. It's not consistent. It's not Bama. It's not Ohio State. It is the wave. And I'm interested to see what direction we go with a good game this weekend against BYU.
BYU look tough.
I don't know. I know we're favored.
Is it at Oregon or is it at BYU?
It's at Oregon. Thank the Lord. Playing in BYU at night, I would hate that.
That's a
Poor
tough
Baylor.
Part.
Poor Baylor. Yeah. But I don't. We'll see. It's our chance to get back in it, but it's going to tell us directly which way our season's going. Yeah. Kentucky, there's a chance. Kentucky, you're on the East, in the East, right?
In the East, so really like our biggest competition is Georgia and Tennessee, probably.
Yeah, Tennessee looks good.
Tennessee looks good. So we've got like Youngstown State, which is where our coach is from that area, you know.
Yeah.
And then Illinois, Northern Illinois. I don't know.
Okay.
Something Illinois. It's not like Illinois. But
so you got a couple before the slate.
Supposed cupcake games, hopefully, before we go to Ole Miss, who I think is like 20th right now. But it's an away game at Oxford, and that should be a pretty good game. And then after that, we've got South Carolina at home. So theoretically, like if I'm pretty confident in the South Carolina game, but like the Ole Miss game, that's going to be tough. But if they do what they're supposed to do, there's a really good chance that we start off 6-0, and those are like with SEC wins in there. Those aren't all bunny games. You know what I mean?
No, that's a win against Florida, who took down Utah, who was favored by a decent amount. Maybe it was a field goal, but still in the swamp was favored. That says a lot. I freaking love that football's back.
It's nice that I don't have to, like, I get to participate, you know, because that I've watched college football my entire life, but like because I'm a UK fan, like sometimes I don't get to participate as much. So it's kind of nice. Like, I know we're not going to win a national championship, but it's nice to be like, hey, like, what if we do play Georgia for the SEC East and we beat them? Like, probably not going to happen, but at least it's on the realm of possibilities. Georgia's a whole different animal, but
please get them. Please beat them.
But I think it's like the third year in a row, or third year in the last 4 years, if we did go and do that we would be playing Georgia to win the SEC East, which is like so different than what it's been basically my entire life.
Now, don't take this the wrong way.
Yeah.
Being from the West and knowing what's always going on in the SEC, for a while it was Vandy, Mizzou, unless they had Chase Daniel, Kentucky,
South Carolina.
Yep, and so the South Carolina throwing them in there unless they had Jadeveon Clowney early on. Those were the four. Everyone was like, "There's a win."
Yep,
but it's completely changed, and I love it. What else is crazy is like I feel like basketball or football is turning into basketball in a way where there's talent going everywhere instead of. And I'm liking that because you're seeing these with these upsets. The Sun Belt is having the best week of their life after their wins. So. Well,
and it's, it's kind of like what Oregon did when they beat Michigan. Like, we've had a couple of program changing wins. And that's what's cool about college football is like, it's a little bit longer of a process than like college basketball, because college basketball theoretically, like, I mean, let's look at like what Coach Cal did in 2010 when he came aboard. So like we missed the tournament that year before, and then he brought in three or four stud recruits and changed the whole trajectory of the program. You can't really do that in football. Like, it takes 3 years to do that.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
So, but we've had a couple years that like really changed the trajectory of our program. And Mark Stoops, our coach, I tell people all the time, like, we'll put his name on the field when he leaves. Like, that dude's going in the Kentucky Hall of Fame. He's already passed up. Actually, a lot of people don't know this. So, like, up until like last week, but Bear Bryant was actually the football coach at Kentucky before he was in Alabama. So
I did not know that.
Before he was at Kentucky, or before he was at Alabama, he won a national championship at Kentucky. This was in the 50s, like 50 or 51 or something like that. And so Mark Stoops just passed up Bear Bryant for the most winning coach at Kentucky football history. But
it's just whatever name to pass,
Yeah, so I started trolling online. Like, this tells me that Mark Stoops is better than better than Bear Bryant. And like all these Alabama fans were like, what is this guy talking about?
God, you're the worst. You are the biggest troll. Whether it's a fantasy football group chat,
Yep.
whether it is Facebook, whether it is people, wrong numbers texting you.
Love it.
That one was good.
It's what I live for. It is a hobby and an addiction of mine. Like trolling's just going to be part of my life.
But it's not aggressive. It's just like,
no,
I just want to change how someone is thinking today.
Yeah.
I just want to change the trajectory of their mind for one day
I'm
rather than ruining their day.
Yeah, I'm going to get in their head today and be like, dude, what? Like, they're going to lay their head down at night and be like, dude, what was that guy talking about? Like, what was he thinking?
For anyone who doesn't follow him, he was reached out by someone who was asking about the architectural design of a bridge, right? And you were like, wrong, or you were just like, oh, sorry, I'm with a bridge demo team. Like, he just goes to it so quickly, and then I feel like people don't even pick up on it when they respond. They're just like, okay. Like, did I really get the bridge demo guy?
And
like, the irony.
And so, like, after that, I said, I'm actually part of a bridge demo team. And then she asked if she could see like the plans or something of it. And so I went on Google Image and just Googled bridge demolition. And I took this bridge that was just destroyed and I sent it back to her.
It was just the stands underneath. It wasn't even a bridge.
That's what she said, that she was an investor and she wanted to get a peek. So this is someone who is pumping money into some kind of bridge, and I'm showing her some just destroyed bridge. And then after that, she stopped texting me.
Changing people's lives. That is what you're doing, whether it's through lending or text.
Right.
Which way we'll never know.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But I mean, that all started like when Facebook just started. So like when I first got on Facebook, you had to be in college. You had to have a college email address. And that was fun.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's not for me. I think I was 13 when I had mine.
Right. And so it was about after maybe 1 or 2 years that I had Facebook, that they opened it up to the public. And that's when it like really got fun. Like we had this whole, I have to tell the story. So we had this whole group. This was back when Boise State and someone else, I can't remember who, but you remember when Boise State did that Statue of Liberty play? This was in like 2008.
Yeah, the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah, against Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we had started prior to that, because there's a 2 or 3 week gap before the end of this regular season to when bowl season started. Some of my buddies and I had started a group called Two Undefeated Teams Let the Boys Play. And it was, we were messing around mostly with like, it was a lot of friendly fire. We were messing with fellow SEC fans, and saying like, whoever it was, I can't remember who was playing, but they were a 1-loss team. Mm-hmm. That's who was playing for the national championship. And we were making, like, we would make up stats, but we were saying like Boise State should be playing for the national championship. And we kept on with this and on with this. And we had this guy that would make up fake newsletters. Like it got really, really deep. And like,
was this all for the month between the bowl? Yeah.
Yeah, it was all for the month. And we did it the entire month. We had a couple hundred, maybe 200 or 300 people in this group. And we were getting like death threats, and we thought it was hilarious. And then finally, so like we're sitting there talking smack, and then Boise State ends up winning the game. And the best moment of my life, and I'll look my kids and my wife straight in the eyes and tell them this, like this was the best night of my life, was that night, because you could see, and I can think of like 5 or 6 dudes that were consistently like just berating us on Facebook and telling us how stupid they were. And about 2/3 of them started posting stuff in that group and saying stuff like, maybe these guys were right. It was the best. And so like Boise State ends up winning.
So you watched the whole game, right? You're just on.
Watch the whole game. We are so
had to.
in.
Yeah.
And every single timeout, or like at the end of the quarter or whatever, we would run into my buddy's computer room, because this was like, we didn't have smartphones. This makes me sound so old. We would run into my buddy's computer room and we'd start, messing with people in the group. And then afterwards, I mean, there was this, like, we had a ton of people like join the group too. I think we had like 40 or 50 people maybe join the group. I can't remember. But afterwards, we kept going. We tried to keep the conversation going. And one of the things that we had, they were putting down Boise State because of the conference that they played in. They played in the WAC, and they're like, the WAC is whack. Da, da, da.
Yeah.
And one of my arguments was, these people that look at the conference and they take strength of schedule so seriously. And so I started making up this whole narrative that Matt Forte was the best running back in the NCAA, is what I was saying. And Matt Forte at the time was some no-name running back at Tulane.
Yeah.
And so, like, I just picked the leading rusher in the NCAA or one of the top ones or something. I found some stat that he was, like, leading the NCAA and someone we've never heard of. And then he goes on to be, like, this incredible pro.
You probably shouldn't have been in lending. You know that? You should have been a scout, just taking one stat, riding with it. Some writer.
Yep.
I remember what's his name? There's this writer out of Cleveland. He has followed LeBron his whole career out of Cleveland. Is it Brian Windhorst? Is that right? It's Windhorst. I think it's Windhorst. I remember him early on. Like, he would just report on LeBron, and now he just works for ESPN. Like, all he did was just like attach himself to one guy. Yeah. Just keep pushing stats, and then all of a sudden now he's got his cush ESPN job just because, like, again, it takes energy. But
so what's wild is, like, I went to journalism school, and this was I graduated in 2010. So this is when, again, this makes me sound old, but like the media was transitioning from the actual physical paper and selling subscriptions and advertising in physical paper to, we have to embrace the internet. And I remember we did I think we studied this for like 2 weeks, and it was, who is a journalist? Like, are these bloggers journalists? Are these random people on Twitter journalists? So it's really interesting. Like, I to see all these folks that were creating content and now they've turned it into like their full-time job is incredibly fascinating to me.
It's just energy, and put your mind in the place you want to go.
Yeah. If you get enough eyeballs on something, like, there's a way to monetize it. So, I mean, I know people that have made memes about sports, and now they run like this meme page and they make money from making memes. Like, how fantastic is that?
It's the best. I mean, you're on your way there with your memes.
Yeah. Well, and so, like, I started the whole meme thing. If you don't know, like, and if you don't follow me on Instagram, I tried to post 4 memes a day on my story.
It's an emotional ride every morning. You never know what's coming.
Well, but I started doing it because I started noticing how many eyeballs I would get on my story versus my actual posts on Instagram. And at that time, I had, let's say, 1,000 followers, and I would get 300 or 400 views on my story versus, 50 likes on whatever content I had actually pushed out there. So my whole thing is, like, especially with social media, is just trying to find a way to be relatable.
Yeah.
So who doesn't like memes? But it's also a way for me to show my personality without actually, like, showing my personality. Like, I think you actually told me that the other day. You're like, dude, your memes are your personality. And that's 100% how people, like, get to know me, is through my memes. And they're not memes that I create most of the time, obviously. They're memes that I just find.
And I've always had this question, and I don't know if I've ever asked you. That's 28 memes a week.
Yeah.
That is a lot. And you barely miss days. Barely.
Yeah.
Are people sending these to you? Have you gotten to the point where people start sending you memes? I know I've sent you a couple, like, these need to go. Apparently I've never made the cut, by the way. I checked. Really? It hurts.
I hate that for you. You might be on the backlog, man. Like, the memes that I find take precedent,
I got 500 in the bag. I'm just, when I run out, I'll start using yours.
You're in the reserves, bro. But No, I mean, yeah, I have people send me memes daily. But I get so much feedback and so many DMs every single day for my memes. And then when people see me in public, that's one of the first things that they say, like, Nate, I love your memes. And it's created relationships that I've never would have created otherwise.
Yeah.
And folks, again, it goes back to like staying top of mind. And they know when they wake up, they can count on 4 memes from me. Like, and it was 5 for like 2 or 3 years there. It was 5 every day. And I had it finally scaled back to 4 because it was like, guys, like I'm
running low.
Yeah, I'm running low and I'm getting enough business to where like I actually have to work, y'all. Like I have to do a little bit of work instead of hunt for memes all day. But yeah, I mean, I got like 3 or 4 sources that are usually pretty big gold mines. But then, I mean, a lot of them are just like I'm scrolling Facebook or Instagram or anything just like anybody else. And I just save them.
What's your phone storage look like?
It's not great, man. Like it's a constant cleaning session. And I mean, I think next time, I don't know what my capacity is. I don't know what it is. I think it's the 256. So I think next time I'm going to.
I'd hope so.
Yeah. I think next time I got to up that. Got to go to the 512 or whatever it is.
Start getting a terabyte. God, I could imagine you just having to like delete them every week. Okay. That was last week. Gone.
Well, and the hard part is keeping track of the ones you've posted, because I try to make it a habit of as soon as I post them on my story, I go back and delete them. But inevitably there are times that I get distracted and don't do that. And so sometimes I have to go back and look in the archive. I'm like, did I post this already? Every once in a while I've caught myself accidentally doing that, but it's sorting through all of that. I'm sure there's a better way. I just haven't found a great system for it.
Hey, if it's still working.
Yeah,
I think it's controlled chaos up there in your mind. So
right,
let's just leave it alone.
It's controlled.
Let's just no one try and go in there and try to clear that up. That's going to be a mess. You're going to have to do so much up there. No.
But I mean, when you look at the content that you and I both create, I mean, one of the biggest questions, I don't know about you, but like a lot of questions that I get is like, hey, Nate, where do you come up with this stuff?
Oh, even my mom.
Yep. And I'm like, when I answer people, I'm not trying to be difficult. Like I want to help them. That's something about like, I want to see everybody succeed. If you're asking me questions, like I want to help you. But I don't know how to tell you that, because like, that's just how my mind works. And it's a blessing, if you're not naturally that way, either have some kind of sense of humor or whatever, or sarcasm or whatever it is, whatever trait it is that I possess, that you possess as well. You just gotta lean into it. And that's another thing is like, I know people that make really, really high quality content and it's like all serious, and because that's their personality, but they're very, very knowledgeable and they've leaned into it.
Yeah. No. And I was going to say, I get that question all the time of like, I don't know the answer. And I think that's what you're saying as well. Like, I don't know where it comes from. My mind has always been a dark place of like, we used to play this game. If it was car rides or anything like that, someone would be like, would give me a situation, come up with some random situation, whatever it may be, like, you're about to go on your first date or whatever. And then I would have to come up with a song. So for whatever reason, it's really fun, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyone who's listening should try it. Just like come up with random situations. You'll pass an hour in the car super quick.
This is what we did before smartphones, right? Like,
before
we had unlimited data.
Yeah. But it would just be like, there's just my mind for whatever reason stores the stuff that really at this point it's movie quotes, sports, and mortgage guidelines. Like that's all it is right now. And then whatever creativity comes out is what it is. But yeah, I would do that. And then it's turned into like, my mind has just always been like this. I don't want to say a sick place, but like it's very different. It's very different with my humor and everything. And it comes through on my videos. Well,
and that part of like what we do is we do some spoofs and we tie in like well-known movie quotes or television quotes occasionally in our content. And I have a lot of fun trying to tie in some kind of mortgage concept into something like that. So like
100%.
It can be exhausting, but like I don't watch a lot of TV or anything without thinking like, hey, could like this be a little bit of content for me? Like it's hard for me to just like straight up enjoy it right now.
Yeah.
which is good and bad. But like, I look at entertainment in a very different light right now. It's very strange.
Yeah, and I'm similar with music when I do listen to it, because a lot of time it's podcasts. But thankfully, my mind hasn't gone there with movies yet.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it will. But yeah, it's just, I wish I could literally go, this is how my brain works. This is how, like, and back to my mom, she was here as I filmed a video out by the pool of Lion King. And it was like, I don't know where my mind came up with that, but she literally was videoing me. And she's like, it was actually kind of
videoing you.
Yeah. And I didn't see, because the windows are kind of dark. I have the videos. I'll send them to you after. And she's like, it was cool because I've kind of known you to always be this like outside the box thinker.
Yeah.
And she's like, now you get to put it into videos and stuff. And I'm literally watching you move this camera around.
Yeah.
And then I get to see the final product. She's like, it's cool to see that. And I was like, this sucks, because I didn't know she was watching me.
Yeah.
And I hate when people watch me make videos. Drives me nuts.
Yeah. I hate it. Can't stand it. And I don't know why, but I can't stand it. I feel like I'm like performing or something. I hate it.
And what's funny is like, I'll put myself on camera, but I have never liked being in front of large crowds.
Yeah.
So it's super weird how that goes. And like, I did a class for like 15 people. That was outside the comfort zone. But I'm hoping 10,000 people see my video.
Right.
That's super weird.
Well, it's strange that, like, when you really think about it, like 10,000 people, like, I don't know 10,000 people. Like, that is a lot of people. And those numbers are like not that big compared to some of the numbers we've put up before.
Yeah.
That's what's so bizarre. Have you been recognized in public yet for your content at all?
Just once, and it was another loan officer when I lived in Washington, and that was cool. It like made my day. But yeah, I have not gotten to the point where I'm sure you've probably been stopped a couple of times.
It's strange, man. Because like, I don't want to be mean, but it's a weird thing to where people come up to you, and understandably, like, and a lot of them will say this, like, I feel like I know you, and I'm like, I love that you're there, but like, I'm not there with you yet. Like, you're still strange. I just met you 4 seconds ago. I don't know anything about you. And it's really hard to not like come off as rude. And I don't necessarily say that, but it still kind of freaks you out. And I've kind of started to get used to it, but it's still weird every time. I mean, I was at, this was a day after I did one of my videos where I was wearing a wig, and I was in Academy Sports in the line, and some guy like tapped me on the shoulder, and he's like, "Hey man, you look a lot different without your wig on." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like this guy." Like I got confronted not only about like my content, but like my wig too. Cause like in my screwed up brain, the internet is still like anonymous for some reason. Like I sit there and think like, oh, nobody's really going to see this, but thousands of people see it. It's so strange.
It's a weird thing of where people start to get a sense of who you are, and then the trust thing, and like, because you don't see it. You don't see the day-to-day where you get to see what people think. You're just putting stuff out there hoping. And the only metrics we can go off of are views and likes, comments. But there's so many people out there that will follow you without doing anything. And you're like, oh, but it's just, I mean, we've again talked on that.
And so my kids have really gotten into Dude Perfect. They love watching Dude Perfect. And I basically grew up with, like, they're my age. So like, I remember their first few videos, like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And now to see like what they've built is incredible.
Yeah. But I remember watching them like when the YouTube videos would come out when I was younger and watch real quick. And now it's become this whole, they're on tour. It's nuts. Yeah,
they're on tour. We went and saw them on tour, but my kids, you know, if Dude Perfect does not upload for a week or two, my son literally comes up like, dude, dad, like, why has Dude Perfect? When are they going to upload a video? Like, why have they not done that?
I don't know. Let me call them.
Yeah. And I looked at my wife and I was like, obviously on such a smaller scale than Dude Perfect. I was like, but do you, like, how weird is it that there are probably people that say that about me? Like, that's so weird, but it's really cool. It's humbling, but like, it's so weird to think about, like, man, like, why hasn't Nate posted a video lately? It's really cool that people like my stuff that much. Because I've had people text me like, hey man, like, I haven't seen a video in a while. I'm like, I'm working on it, bro. Like, you know, I've got my actual real job that I'm trying to juggle right now.
Remember why I make the videos? That's what I'm doing.
Exactly. Yeah, it's worked. So now I'm trying to do my actual job so I can pay my bills.
Yeah. No, I mean, and we can dive into social media and content even more on future episodes. I'm looking forward to continuing to do this. I know I had to hassle you for a while to make this happen, but I just knew that it'd be fun.
Well, I like the idea of showing like the real side of what we do and just like the human side of it, because I don't put out neither one of us put out videos talking about any kind of struggles that we've gone through, really. Or just like our personality as a whole. Like people know that I'm a Kentucky fan, but like if you asked people on TikTok, it's probably not that obvious. So this is the way that you get to know us a little bit better too.
Yeah. No, and I mean that's the goal of the whole podcast with the name. Talking more than just mortgage. I'm sure it's what we do for a living, so we'll probably throw it in there if we ever want to talk a little crap about what's going on in the market or anything like that.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. We can do all of that, but I'm looking forward to it. Any of you who stuck around to this point,
you're the real MVP.
Yeah.
Flash the Kevin Durant, you the real MVP.
Yeah. But we're going to get these, start doing them weekly, and look forward to anyone who wants to listen going forward. But
got an Instagram page?
Yeah, Instagram page at the More Than Mortgage Pod. Uploading clips there, and then if any of you ever want to put any suggestions of something for us to talk about, also have an email, morethanmortgagepod@gmail.com. So please submit anything there, questions or anything, articles if you want us to talk on them. That'd be awesome. Give us talking points. That'd be great.
Yep.
Either way, I mean, we're going to just talk about nonsense. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out along the way.
We don't let silence happen.
No.
But, dude, thanks, Nate, for making my dream come true.
Yeah, let's keep killing it. We'll see you next week, I guess, right?
Yeah. See you next week. Take care, and then reach out if you guys have anything you want us to talk about.
Peace.